Hello and welcome to Called Bang Sports. Thank you so much for watching. We really hope you all had a Merry Christmas, and let's get into the Jazz and their game against the Dallas Mavericks tonight. So the Utah Jazz had a really interesting win against the Dallas Mavericks tonight. The Jazz won 120 to 116, and the Mavericks were down a lot of players, most notably Luka Doncic, who is currently in COVID protocol. And obviously, when you take away the other teams, all-star, the team that's the player that is going to eventually win an MVP in Luka, I feel pretty confident as a Jazz fan that, they should win that game. And they did. But it was full of a bunch of ups and downs. And frankly, when you look at the final box score, some things that, in my opinion, make it just seem that the Jazz were really lucky to get a win tonight. So the Jazz were down by as much as 16 in the first quarter, and were able to come back and go into the second quarter, I believe, only down 9 points, and then took the lead to halftime. So the first quarter was by far the most miserable quarter of the game, and really just kind of showed that the Jazz are continuing to either A, not be a really good team, or B, in my opinion, what's happening is they continue to play down to the competition. They have shown that they are able to be a brilliant team and that they're able to come out and play lockdown defense and put up some amazing points on the other side of the court, even when they're not hitting threes. At the beginning of the year, they were absolutely just doing miserable from the three-point line, but still had the number one offense in the league. So while obviously it's much easier to win if the Jazz are hitting threes, it's not necessary for them to win games. They can miss threes and win. So first quarter was a really bad quarter. Second quarter, Jazz had an amazing quarter, were able to come back, take the lead to half. And third quarter, let the Mavs get another big lead, almost push it to double digits. Going into the fourth quarter tied. And the Jazz were able to, after relinquishing the lead to the Mavs at the early beginning of the fourth quarter, come back, take the lead. Mavs were able to get back into it a bit towards the end, but the Jazz won. So good game for the Jazz, showed a lot of perseverance. It was a primetime slot, which is really awesome for them to pick up the win. But as I alluded to earlier, this is a Mavs team that is missing pretty much a good portion of the guys who are normally in their lineup. To read the starting lineup off to you, they had Brown, Powell, who typically starts, I believe, Kristaps Porzingis, who again is a starter, Jalen Brunson, I believe, and I apologize to the name that I'm about to butcher. They had Frank Ntilikina. No, I'm sorry. And so just really not the type of lineup that you want to have a close game against. And while, yes, thankfully they were able to win, this really does show that the Jazz do need to take steps forward to be able to beat the bad teams a lot better. For lack of a better way to word it. We've seen them struggle this week, against the Timberwolves, who they let back into it, but still won, against Charlotte, who they did the same. And when they had back-to-back losses last week against the Wizards and the Spurs, it is really a rough patch for Utah right now. And they do have a chance this upcoming Monday to go to San Antonio and beat the Spurs, have a revenge game. And I think that game will show a lot about who they are as a team and will show a lot about the steps that they are hopefully taking. What really makes this game even worse in my mind is the three Jazz players who were all in the negative. It was Royce O'Neal at negative 21, Bojan Bogdanovic at negative 18, and Donovan Mitchell also at negative 18. So really, the Jazz's bench is what carried them. While Donovan did have a great game putting up 33 points in his 35 minutes, it wasn't the most efficient game that he could have had. He was 1 of 7 from 3, but that does mean he was 10 of 19 from 2, while also shooting 10 of 11 from the free throw line. So this was a really big game for Donovan Mitchell, who did appear to not be himself throughout the broadcast, whether that was him being sick or whether it was him or whether he has a slight injury. He was still able to do an absolutely amazing job. But overall, when he was on the court, the Mavericks were significantly outscoring the Jazz. And a lot of that probably did have to do with the first quarter. But still, you never want to see Donovan be negative 18 when he's putting up 33 points in a night. Just a quick look at the team stats before we wrap things up. The Jazz really won it on being able to take a couple more shots than the Mavericks. Jazz shot 40 of 90 from the field, while the Mavericks shot 38 of 89. And field goal percentage was pretty close, both in the low 40s. Both shot 33% from three. The Jazz took a couple more and made 12 compared to the Mavericks 10. And the Mavs beat the Jazz on the free throw line, shooting 85% compared to 75% for the Jazz, a 10% difference, but thankfully only a 2-point difference. And just looking down at it, really the big thing that stands out to me the most is that the Jazz and the Mavericks both had 14 turnovers, which is something we talk a lot about, that the Jazz do need to work on reducing their turnovers. But the Jazz were able to score 24 points off of those 14 turnovers, while the Mavericks were only able to score 18. So that's plus 6 points in the Jazz's favor, and the Jazz won by 4. So being able to still have not the best defense after turnovers, but being able to have better defense than what the Mavericks had led to the Jazz win tonight. So thank you guys so much for watching. Sorry if it was a bit scatterbrained, kind of a crazy day today and a late game, but we, again, really hope you all had a great Christmas. We're excited to see you on Monday night. We'll bring you another post game after the San Antonio Spurs game. So thanks again, and go Jazz.